Listen to this important clip about Palantir.
And say that although the company still has an AI advantage in the long term, its valuation has become unsustainable.
We are huge fans of what's going to happen due to AI. But again, as we said, that the hype is ahead of the reality. And we think, again, the stock, given the magnitude of the outperformance last year, we simply just like other names in software, like Monday.com, Microsoft. There's a handful of others that we like better.
Now, what happened here is that Palantir's shares slid to the 15s beneath the 16s after we had here the Jefferies downgraded PLTR stock to an underperform from a hold rating, slashing the price targets of $13 from $18. We're going to be talking about this, why this is important, especially as we have talked about Palantir's valuation, and one of the biggest warnings that we have been warning you guys about on the short term. Now, if you're new to the channel or a returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. What we have right now is a cooling off and a slight pullback of Palantir. And like we had mentioned before, the Jefferies downgraded the stock, and we see PLTR slip in terms of its actual share price. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing, and especially if you listen to the full article talking about the Jefferies senior analyst here, talking about they still like Palantir. They do. They just say, is the actual valuation for PLTR getting ahead of itself, and is it becoming more of a fantasy rather than reality? And this comes in at the price to earnings ratio for PLTR for non-GAAP is at 76.10. And recently what we talked about was when Palantir lost that $17 level of support, we had predicted that there was going to be a lot of volatility within that pullback. And that's because after those Q3 earnings, we saw this major exponential gap that was created from the 14s to the 17s in the matter of one trading session. Right now, Palantir is on this decline. You got to think, just a few months ago, it was trading at a 52-week year-to-date high at 21.85. Now cooling off, Palantir is entering this consolidation phase that we've been talking about in previous videos that it likes to consolidate at. That's between the 13s and the 16s right here, between 1382 and the bottom resistance support zone and this top resistance level of 1633, excuse me. So right now, Palantir entering this zone of consolidation around the 15s is not necessarily a bad thing for PLTR. I think what we have seen is some profit taking because with the global markets, we do have the Dow Jones that actually came in higher on Friday's trading session on these strong jobs report, and yet PLTR had a decent sink, especially since that December's employment report showed an increase of 216,000 jobs from a much stronger than the expected 158,000. So right now, in terms of the job market, the economy is doing well, and we see all the three major, kind of index trackers here finishing in the green. So the question is, what is the play with Palantir now? How is Data Dispatch looking at the play for Palantir? What could be coming in the future? Well, one thing that we do need to keep our eyeballs on is on this important date, and that is the next earnings date, which is going to be Q4 earnings, February 13th. That's going to be happening quicker, a little over a month here now, than we will expect. Earnings per share predicted is at 8 cents and revenues at 602 million. One thing that's great for Palantir right now, though, is that it still has earnings per share revisions that are continuing to be in the bullish directions. As you can see, there's been 9 earnings per share revisions in terms of the bullish perspective. Now, with that, and where Palantir is sitting right now at this consolidation zone, this could be a great spot. Talking about a little bit of a pullback here from the AI stocks, nothing has changed within the business fundamentally. This is merely just from an analyst that has changed their price targets and really kind of their outlook on the actual price, and saying nothing bad about Palantir other than it does have a high valuation. And I don't think anybody can say that it doesn't, because we can see that with the numbers. Numbers don't lie. And we can see with the price to earnings right now, people are paying a large premium for this. So Palantir cooling off a little bit, I think is actually great for PLTR. Consolidating, finding its zone, and specifically what's going to be happening after the next earnings, I think is going to be critically important for the rest of 2024. And also talking about that Palantir has the highest price to fair value ratio among some of the top 5 performing stocks in 2023, which indicates here with that price to fair value ratio is overvalued, estimated here by about 32%. However, I think one of the biggest catalysts for Palantir is its ability to smash earnings. We've seen this quarter by quarter with its 4 quarters now of GAAP profitability. This means that you have the S&P 500 conclusion criteria being met. So if Palantir, a big hype and trendiness and I think momentum that's going to bring value back into the stock is with the inclusion of the S&P 500. Number 2 here is that Palantir is really working to work on its AIP software. And talking about AIP, what is great about this is that they are starting to tap in to the commercial and the private sector, not just relying on governmental contracts. And as Palantir utilizes these AIP boot camps, which allows possible businesses to test this software completely for free, which is a great business tactic, allows a lot of potential clients and allows Palantir to diversify its revenue income generators. Considering that the governmental contracts were the majority of the revenue income generators for Palantir, now that they're actually diversifying, allows them to get their feet wet into various industries. And we saw this throughout 2023 as Palantir formed many positive collaborations with different companies and even signing different types of contracts, like the NHS contract, getting involved within the healthcare industry. So where we sit right now is Palantir could easily continue to slide down here to this $13 price target that we have seen analysts change. That could possibly happen. What you have right now for a lot of analysts and at the average is at a $15 price target, $5 on the low. I don't think we'll possibly see Palantir come down that low, but what you have is around right now its average price target. So with this being said, there's going to be lots of things that are going to be happening for AI in 2024, and there's going to be a lot of things that are happening with the market. So a long-term growth play here for an individual stock, I think Palantir is still at the high of our list. Talking about that and with its possibilities, it's going to be interesting, and I want to see how AIP is going to be affecting this company within that next quarter earnings report. I think if we still see a growth in that commercial revenue and also that commercial customer count, this will keep me bullish on Palantir in the long term, and Palantir getting back into the $20 zone in 2024, I think is entirely possible. I want to know, what do you guys think down in the comments? There's a lot of interesting skepticism around the stock. There's criticism, but I think that is well-deserved, like I said, with its valuation. And I think Palantir is facing a little bit of its reality right now, but this does not change our long-term bullish outlook on PLTR. Take care, peace out, and I'll catch you guys later.